in the wrong place. Thanks for joining. And otherwise, we're really happy to have you here. So I think the first thing that I'm supposed to do tonight is call this meeting to order. So let's do that. Do I actually like officially say I call this meeting to order? Is that a thing?
Nah, you're good.
All right, cool. Roll call. We need to do roll call. So we'll start. I am Crystal Miller-Lay. I am your new PAC president. As you can see, I am pretty chill about all of this, but I am looking forward to working with you all this year. Who else?
Oh, and your school district you represent?
All of them, right? But technically Rockwood.
Okay, I got you there, Crystal. Give me 1 second. Let me grab the attendance sheet because I thought I had it up, but maybe I did not. And we can do a roll call.
Oh, good. And we're going to turn it over to Denise, who is much more official about all of this. So.
Okay, we'll just.
Oh, it even had her name there. Denise. Sorry, Denise.
No, you are totally fine. I have to find my sheet, the right one. Okay, let's go. All right, starting in Bayless, Maria Martinez.
I am here.
Yay. Down to Clayton, Christina Blankenship.
Christina did say she wouldn't be able to make it this evening.
Okay, great. So I'll mark her excused. All right. Ferguson Florissant, Denise Bursey, present. Dwayne Lay from Kirkwood.
Present.
Ellen Reed from Kirkwood.
Present.
Maplewood, Richmond Heights, Kim Gifford. And Lauren Todd. Okay. From Newhouser, Tamiko Jones.
Denise, just so you know, it's new owner.
New owner. I say it.
New owner. Yep. It's a tricky one.
Is it spelled that? Am I spelling it wrong, or is it just I'm pronouncing it wrong?
This is like the Doherty Dougherty thing to me.
Yes.
It's
correct.
Just pretend that it's been sold and now it has a new owner.
Got it. Normandy, Deanna Davis. Okay, moving down to Parkway, Lindsay Woods. Parkway, Ashley Jamison. Pattonville, Kamisha Carter.
Kamisha's teaching a class tonight, so I think she couldn't make it.
Rockwood, we have Rebecca Fleet.
Present.
Let's see here. Casey Lay. Casey, or no, is it Casey Mills?
Yeah, it's Casey Mills.
Okay. Holly Tinker. And then Wester Groves, Maureen O'Neill.
I'm here.
All right, 1 moment to see if we have quorum. We do not have quorum. We have 5 districts represented and we need 6. So basically that just means that we can't vote on anything tonight. So we can't approve the agenda or the minutes, or vote anyone in, anything like that.
Well, good news. We weren't going to vote anyone in tonight anyway, so yay. And we can handle the agenda at the next meeting. So,
and then I'll check throughout the evening if through the attendance leak, if we do get quorum, then we can go back and vote it in.
Perfect. Thanks. Oh, yes, Ellen.
Did I miss the attendance link?
It's in the chat.
Oh.
If you scroll up,
Must have came in after I was in there.
no worries. We
You're
can-
good. I just reposted it for you.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
We're sure. Go. Okie dokie. So we don't have to worry about approving the minutes, which is great. So now let's go into, oh, my thing. So if we can scroll down to the slides. Okay. So thanks everyone for joining us this evening. I know there has been a couple of changes from last year, starting with this is Tuesday and not Wednesday. And so some of you might be like, why are we meeting on a Tuesday? For the last couple of years, our attendance at the larger PAC meetings has been a little low. And by a little, I mean a lot. So we're hoping that by moving off of Wednesday, we can improve attendance over time. So obviously there was some short notice for this particular meeting. Hopefully next month we'll be able to share that a little bit earlier, more often, whatever we need to do so that everyone knows about it. But our meetings for this year will be on Tuesday. At the end of the year, we can reassess and say, yep, this was great, or no, let's go back to Wednesday, or whatever day of the week floats everyone's boat. But that's the dealio for this year. Our goals for this year are really going to be around helping the families of the SSD build a bridge between themselves, their families, their needs, and the SSD. So what can the SSD do for our families? What are the resources that are there? How can we help each family maximize what's available to them and their student? And a lot of that is going to be through education that Wendy will be helping. Chief Pendergrass will be helping us with. I'm very excited about that. But that's also helping to connect with your resources in district with the PAC representatives. So I don't know if you're like me, but when I moved to this district, I didn't even know who my PAC representative was, which is kind of sad because I'm married to him, or at least he was at the time, but now he's not. I'm not married to Rebecca. That would be weird. So, because I'm already married to somebody else. I'm going to stop now. This is bad. So, point being, one of the things that we will be doing over the next few weeks is making sure that each district shares who their PAC representatives are, how to get a hold of them, what that looks like. So our month of August leading into September is really just, who are we? And then each month there will be a new theme that we work through that Chief Pendergrass and the Executive Council kind of outlined to be able to bring families along with the SSD each year. So speaking of the Executive Council, I'd like to stop for just a second and welcome the Executive Council that we have so far. We do have, you'll notice on the slide, a couple of open positions. We can't vote anybody in tonight, but maybe if you're on this call, take a thought. If you think, hey, I can do this better than the person talking right now, you probably can. Come in. Help. If there's things that you think you might be able to do to improve things or want to try, come in, help. We have room for you and we really, really want you and we need you. So our Executive Council meetings are Mondays at 8 p.m. Every other Monday. So if you can't make all of them, that's okay. If you're interested, my email's right there. Feel free to reach out. I'm happy to chat. Denise Bursey, our recording secretary, you want to kick us off with introductions?
Sure can. Hi, everyone. I'm Denise Bursey. I'm in the Ferguson-Florissant School District, and I am happy to serve as your recording secretary for the third year in a row. So a little bit about me. Married, have 4 kids, just sent one off to college. He's at Mid-America Nazarene University. What I was about to say, and he was in the Ferguson-Florissant School District, graduated from McClure North. I do have my youngest daughter, Madison, who is 15. She is a sophomore now at McClure North, and she's part of their Essential Skills program there. And I think that's about it.
That's a great introduction. Thank you, Maria. Can you introduce yourself?
Yeah, hi, I'm Maria Martinez. I am a representative out of the Bailiff School District. I have 3 kids. My oldest is 13, and then I have a son who is 9 who receives services through SSD. And then I have a son who is almost 3 who has his first IEP meeting next week. So pretty familiar with it. And this is my first year serving as corresponding secretary. So I promise to get everybody's notices out as soon as possible before the meetings.
Thank you, Maria. We ask for a couple weeks grace as we kind of get our feet underneath us, and we'll be rocking and rolling fairly soon. Dwayne, would you like to introduce yourself, please?
Oh, I love nothing more. I'm my very favorite topic. Hello again, everyone. This is Dwayne Lay, Kirkwood District. This is my first full year as parliamentarian. I came in halfway last year. But this will be my last year doing this. I have a senior who just started at Kirkwood. And then I will be out of the Kirkwood PAC business, regretfully so, because it's such good people we have there. So I'm glad to be back, and I love nothing more than telling people when they're not following the rules. So this is a good, fun job for me. Very little I have to do other than just say, hey, don't do that. So thanks for having me back.
Sophia, the look on your face was literally everything in this call. I'm just going to tell you, I'm going to take that for like the whole week. So thank you. And then I will end with myself. So I'm Crystal Lay. You might notice I have the same last name as Dwayne. That is intentional. We are married, but we represent different districts. So I represent the Rockwood district. My grandchildren actually live with me and my husband, and they go to the Rockwood School District. So, and one receives special services. I suspect both will be receiving special services before the end of the year. I am a workaholic. I love helping people with special needs. I run I'm sorry, my brain just broke. I am also neurodivergent. If you can't tell, I have ADHD. So I had special services when I was in school, which was great, but it looked a little different in Texas. And I'm so excited to be able to help young people and their families be able to get the services that they need and help talk them through what does that look like as you transition into adulthood, because that's really a huge piece of being able to be successful, right? Is being able to take the skills that we're helping our students get now and carry that with them throughout their lives. If you ever want to reach out, I am also on the board of Freddie Ford Family Foundation. So if you have an autistic family member, we do actually work with autistic family members and helping making sure that they have a place to connect and socialize. So I run the teen group there, which is all of that led back to here, right? So talking with the teens and doing work with them last year and seeing kind of what they needed and help that they needed, it really led me to want to help out in the special school district. So that's why I'm here. Hopefully we can get some more reps. I know, thank you, Sophia, for asking about the Hazelwood rep. There are several districts that still need reps. So again, if you're interested in helping at all, it's not a heavy lift. You're looking at maybe 1 to 2 hours a month. I've not served in that capacity, but I've watched my husband serve in that capacity for several years and know that that's not a super heavy lift. So Ellen Reed is a PAC rep. Dwayne has been a PAC rep. You're welcome to reach out to any of us and ask questions.
Sorry, I just say it looks super easy for me because Ellen is so good at it. Like, just credit where due. Like, Ellen does the heavy lifting there. She's a rock star.
Okay, that very fair. Thank you. So when we look at the meeting schedule, there's a couple of places because there were questions about that today. I want to run through that, and then we've got to move on. You can find our meeting schedule for the year on the PAC website. The links are included in the PowerPoint. So there's 2 ways to access the PAC website. The first is through the special school district website. There's literally a page for the Parent Advisory Council, and they've got the PAC website highlighted there. It will have our PAC meetings on there. You can also click on the PAC website on that link, and it will have our meetings and agendas and whatnot posted on the website. So if you click see right there, there's all of our meetings and what we'll be talking about. So all of that info is there. Please take a look at it, dive in. If there's more things you want to see, there's more things you want to learn. My email is going to be on every single one of these slides, or not slides, but every single one of these presentations. You're always welcome to reach out. Okay, moving on so we don't get off time. Dr. Macklin.
Great, thank you all. Really appreciate it. Appreciate the work that the executive team has done to put this together, and then also the leadership team here. So you mentioned Chief Pendergrass, and I think there are a couple others here who are on. So I appreciate you all tonight who are here to truly collaborate as we talk about next steps. So really just a quick update here just to be able to stay on time. Glad to see all you all and hope great to plan for another year together. Last week we hosted Convocation with over 5,500 employees to really kick off the school year. Student performances, and then also our keynote speaker, Dr. Manny Scott, really was impactful. So it was great to see everyone there and to really lead into the school year. Yesterday was our first day of school. Of course, we welcome students back with open arms, out seeing students in spaces and places. And great to report also that we had minimal transportation issues as we move forward for those pieces, which are key. And really today had no transportation issues. So happy about those pieces to be able to move forward. Budget and staffing last week at our workshop, Cindy Robin, our CFO, really highlighted our fiscal year 24, kind of where we finished, where those pieces were. Our fiscal year 25 assumptions, and also really riding the ship and then some forecasting. So that's always a great place to be able to take a look at those pieces as we talk about future budgetary measures for the organization. And then as Crystal Lay already mentioned, we are excited about our new website that has launched, much more user-friendly. And so we really appreciate those pieces to improve navigation. Thank you guys for the time here, and really looking forward to collaborating this year.
I just wanted to show everyone, if you go to our new website, it's very clean. It has all of the information right on the page. If you click on partner districts, what would be a lot of our families on this. It also has 5 SSD, the schools on it as well. It's both interchangeable, but all of the information, all of your school districts are right here on the side. So let's click on Rockwood. And now you have all of your key links, your contacts, your information for Rockwood, and then any information, newsletters, etc., that would be on there. So we hope that you experience our website and find it very user-friendly.
I love the updates to this website. It is so much easier to navigate, having spent just a little bit of time with it compared to last year. So I hope y'all like it too. Okay, we're like blowing through the agenda. Is it time to move on to the next piece?
If you'd like to do that, I would like to, first, I'd like to introduce some new faces that are on here. I'm sure our new face director, Adrienne England, will also introduce them as well. But we have LaDonna Ellis and we have Esther. I just saw her. I don't know where she went. That are both Esther Beard, right there. I see you now. Both new members of our FACE committee. They will be helping support all of our families, both in the partner districts and in the community. And then I also wanted to introduce Dr. Chad Lint. He has joined the team and will be joining our FACE team. He is the executive director of partner districts. I know Tammy Yates is also on. She is also here. And then Chief Moore, her husband's birthday and her birthday are today and tomorrow. So she is not with us tonight, but sends her hello. And then I'm sure you've seen Jen Henry. She is also she's the chief of our communications department. She's there to help with all things communication. And then Chief Teaching, Learning, and Accountability, Molly Bolton, is also on there, and she helps support all of the curriculum in the district, and then also our FACE department. And last but not least, I see Dr. Kelly Grigsby, and she is our deputy superintendent, and she had joined us also last year, and she is back again. So that is our team. We have a very special team member, Jeff Schneider, who is our effective practice specialist and is the guru of goals. So he is going to take us through how we support goals and what families can do to really engage conversations with the team. Take it away, Jeff.
All right. Because I'm not a host, so someone will have to click for me through the slideshow. So Wendy, I guess that's going to be you. Thank you. Aha! Look at there. Again, Wendy said I was an effective practice specialist. I'm in specific to the area of transition. And what we're going to be looking at tonight is what goals are, where do they come from, what is the purpose of a goal, what makes a good goal, and what is your role in the goal process. Wendy, if you go ahead and click. Aha. So what are they? So goals are really targeted skills that we need to be working on. They're identified areas of deficit based on data. They're based on the student's diagnosis, and they provide a target for the provider who's going to be working on that goal, or the providers who will be working on that goal. So that's kind of what a goal is for us. It really kind of gives us a target to be working on, and it kind of identifies that area of need. Okay, where do they come from? Goals can come from lots of different areas. It's usually an area of deficit identified in either an evaluation or a reevaluation report. It's an area of need identified throughout the course of a school year. It could be an area of need based on post-secondary goals. You might be asking, like, what is a post-secondary goal? Post-secondary goals will come along when your student hits the age of 16. They are federally mandated goals that we have to write. They are not a traditional goal in which we work on them throughout the school year. This is more of a goal. A post-secondary goal is a goal that we're working towards in the future after high school. So you may see that term sometimes, post-secondary goal, and that really is referring to where is your student going after high school. And really that's what our purpose is as an educational system, is to really help your student become an effective adult, whatever that might look like. Goals are also, when you start looking at where they're from, they're based on a few different things. So they could be based on developmental norms and milestones, especially for those students who are in early childhood, or for those of you who had students who were in first steps coming into early childhood. Most of those goals are based on developmental norms and milestones. They can also be based on essential elements and skills. Grade level expectations. Those grade level expectations typically are given to us by our Department of Education, elementary, secondary ed, and they kind of break down, like, what is the expectation in this subject area for this grade level. And so that's why they're called grade level expectations. And they are available on our website, but they're also available on the Department of Education, elementary, secondary education, through a Google search. So if you are interested in those, you could always find those grade level expectations for your student. Also, there are two other places that goals can come from that a lot of times parents don't know about or are aware of. Sometimes staff are not aware of. First one is industry standards. Several years ago, Special School District took on the project of really looking at what does it take to be successful as an adult once you leave us. So we got together with a whole lot of our partners. We got together with business partners. We got together with 4- and 2-year colleges. We got together with tech schools. We got together with just employers that employ our students right after high school. But we also got together with day volunteer programs and various places where our students might land, and asked them, what does it take to be successful? After 2 years of a lot of back and forth, a lot of conversation with everyone, we came up with a very nice list of skill sets broken up by various areas called the industry standards. These can be found on our website, but you can also probably ask your teacher, or possibly even FACE. I'm sure that they're probably on the FACE website as well, as to what these are. We also have daily living standards. Oh, hang on there. Ooh. Daily living standards. The daily living standards are just a set of standards that we created with our adult agency partners as to what does it take to live independently, what does it take to live with some support, and what does it take to live with a moderate amount of support. So those are places that you could also look at for goals. All of these are great sources of goals for not only families, but also your IEP team. All right, Wendy. Please advance our slides. There we go. Another great place for goals is for those of you who might be experienced with Charting the Life course, or might be going into a school year to where your case manager says, hey, I would like to use Charting the Life course to hold our IEP meeting. Charting the Life course really has a great section that you just really talk about those new goals. And that is that middle section that's circled. It's the moving forward. It's what do we need to move forward? And that would be that conversation in the IEP meeting where you would start talking about what those goals need to be. So that can also be a source for new goals as well, which is that Charting the Life course conversation. Progress, Wendy. what is the purpose of the goal? So the purpose is to provide direction for services, first of all, for not only your case manager and your resource teachers and your co-taught teachers and all your related services. It just helps to provide that direction. I am a speech language pathologist by profession. My goals were what I worked on. It gave me direction. It helped me to focus what I was doing. So that's what one of the purposes are. The other, it focuses the efforts of staff on the acquisition of targeted skills needed by the student. So when we look at any student and when we look at ourselves and everyone who's on this Zoom meeting, there's lots of areas that we could possibly improve upon in our lives. The problem is that in a school year, we only have so much time, and the student is only going to give us so much time as well. So we really need to be focused sometimes on what we want to target as a skill. Sometimes that conversation may look like at the IEP meeting, what are those big rocks that we really want to start working on? What are those big rocks that we may have to wait a little bit longer for so that we can build on these fundamental skills and then start working on these skills because they're kind of layered at steps. So sometimes that takes place at an IEP meeting, that conversation. But it's something, the goal really helps to focus our efforts so that way we are making sure that we're hitting those critical skill sets that are going to be needed for that student to make a successful transition from school to adult life. All right. Another familiar place, when we start looking at the purpose of that, a goal should target that area between the current function and your vision. So in charting life course kind of terms, it kind of looks like this. When you see that the side that says past life experiences, that's all your data from your formatives, from your goals, all that data that your student in that school has on your student, that's where they're at currently. Your vision for where you want your student to be may not necessarily be what I want them to be when they grow up, especially if you have a kindergartner or someone who's in very early elementary, primary grades. It might just be, this is what I want a 5th grade to 6th grade transition to look like, or this is what I really want us to look like by the end of the current school year or by next school year. So that might be your vision. It doesn't have to be a long-term vision. It can also be a short-term vision. But your goals should help to bridge the gap between where I'm at currently and where I want to be at in the future. And now those are those goals. And that's why they're targeted, because not every student needs to work on everything in order to meet that vision. So we really want to make sure that we're targeting the skill sets that we need to target. And using Charting the Life course, if you haven't done that yet, it's a great tool and it's a great way to help look at those goal areas and really help map where are we at, where are we going, and what do we need to work on. Okay, Wendy. So what makes a good goal? There's lots of you on here that have had IEPs to where you're probably scratching your head sometimes as to like, I don't quite understand the goal. Sometimes our goals can be really work and really difficult to understand. But what makes a good goal? A good goal has to have a task being represented to the student. So, how is that task being represented to the student? How is this task being represented? And we'll look at some examples so that you can kind of see how it looks. What are the expectations for the student? The goal has to state what are those expectations for the student. It also has to state what supports, if any, will be provided and under what conditions will the supports be provided for that student. Sometimes the goal might look like it's not going to have support, and that's okay if that's where everyone feels the student is at. The next thing is, what is the criteria for meeting the goal by the end of the IEP cycle? That is what's really critical. We have to meet the goal by the end of the IEP cycle. So that goal has to be written in a way to where, although we may have other skills that we want to work on or bigger skills we want to work on, we are bound to have that goal met in one school year. So it might be that we have to layer skills one year after another until we actually get to another skill set that we're looking at, maybe 2 or 3 years down the road. But we have to make sure we can meet those goals in the 1 year. We can't write multi-year goals. Some school systems do that. We do not do that. We are bound to that 1 year. The IEP conversation should include baseline data on a goal, and this is what makes a good goal. Baseline data or current level of performance. If you're at an IEP meeting, you should be having a rich conversation about what skills are needed. Where are we going with this student? Here's my baseline data, or this is his current level of performance. That baseline data can come from many, many, many different sources. It can come from formatives that are given by that school. It can come from observational assessments that that teacher might do. It could come from grade level testing. It can come from, for those that are in high school, it might look like EOCs. For those that are in elementary, MAP testing. So those sources can come from many, many different places. But we need to have baseline data and we need to have current level of performance so we know where we're at, again, that current state, so we can develop the target for where we're going. And I just mentioned that grade level performance on all those things. So here's what makes a good goal. Let's look at some examples. So we just talked about it has to have those 4 elements. So now I wrote a goal and I kind of colorized the elements so you can kind of see how it looks. So after listening to a grade level passage of no more than 5 sentences, so that is how the task is being represented to the student. After listening to a grade level passage of no more than 5 sentences, now it comes to what are the expectations for the student. Tommy will respond to 3 WH questions regarding the passage while provided with text and picture support. So that's what supports are going to be provided to the student with 80% accuracy on 10 separate occurrences as measured by data charting. And that's the criteria for meeting the goal. That's what a goal should say. And that's what's really critical for our goals because it tells us the direction, it tells us what we're doing, it tells us the student's expectation, under what conditions that student's going to meet the goal, and what criteria we're going to meet that goal. So when you're actually at an IEP, oh, here's a few more examples. Thank you, Wendy. A few more examples for us. So you can see after presented with a verbal and visual choice between 2 physical objects, one preferred, one not preferred, Jennifer will independently point to select the preferred object 100% of occurrences as measured by observational charting. So you can kind of see where those elements are fitting in at for that student. One more time, Wendy. Thank you. This one, there's a source that teachers use. So parents would not have access to this, but this is a source that teachers use, and it's called Goalbook. Several of you probably have heard of Goalbook. It is a kind of a goal writing, goal support wizard that we have that really helps us to craft some goals. And this is a goal that would come out of using that support. So they're very technical goals. As you can see, they're very technical, but they should still all have the same elements in them, which this does. And I'll let you kind of read that real quick. So regardless of the source of the goal, regardless of it coming from Goalbook or regardless of whether your provider is crafting it on their own, it should contain these elements that really support the student. Click. What is your role in goals? That was kind of a real quick brief down and dirty for goals. But the reality is you should be having a conversation at that IEP. What I would be concerned about is if your providers are always bringing everything pre-crafted to the IEP meeting without a conversation being had with you and then kind of telling you, these are the goals we're going to do. We really should be having a conversation at that IEP meeting about what skills are needed, what is your vision along with the student's vision once the student has that ability to participate in that conversation. What is the goal for that student? What are your visions for that student? And then what skills are needed? That should be the conversation at the IEP meeting. We don't necessarily need to have these very formal crafted goals at an IEP meeting. We should be having a conversation around data and what skills are needed. Those formal crafted goals could be always sent home as drafts so that you guys can see them after you guys have a conversation and the providers go back and kind of write that very professional goal. Oftentimes what I find families have told me when I'm working with families is that those professional crafted goals that actually land in the IEP oftentimes are very hard to understand. And sometimes they don't make sense. They can be extremely wordy. And some families are like, "Well, is that really what we talked about?" That's why it needs to be a conversation. Have a conversation with your case manager at the IEP about what skills are needed. And then around those skill sets, like what goals are we going to target from that skill set? And then let your providers go craft those, and they can always send them home in draft. So what is your role in the goal formation process? Helping to identify those areas of deficit or need. You know your student best. Come to the table with ideas of like, hey, this is where I think my student is struggling at. These are some things that are happening. It doesn't necessarily always have to be academic. It can also be social as well. So you know your student. What are those things that are giving them difficulties? Where are those issues at? Have that conversation with your case manager. Provide input into the prioritization of goals. So at an IEP, we can come up with 25 different goals. Whether or not your student actually is able to work on 25 different goals and master them in a school year is another question. And that is a question to have at the IEP meeting. What do we reasonably expect our student to be able to manage and be able to master in a year? Have that conversation, because not every student is able to master a large list of goals. Sometimes they need to really focus the energy and their time on very prioritized goals. And that's where you guys come in as families, is helping us to prioritize what are those goals that we need to prioritize. Ask questions at an IEP meeting. What is the current level of achievement? I often sit at IEP meetings with families where the staff will say, well, we're going to make a goal to where we're going to make a reading goal to where he's going to answer questions over something that we read to him, or after he reads a passage, he's going to answer questions. Okay. Well, what's the current level of reading that we're working at? Oftentimes I hear families say that is the exact same goal we've had since kindergarten, and we are now in 11th grade. Literally the same goal. Ask questions. What level are we at? How are we moving my student along and learning those reading skills? So rather than just reading a passage to him and he's answering a question about it, how is he learning actually how to decode, that reading fluency, and how to comprehend? What are you doing to help him read that, and where is he at currently? If you have an LD reading, or if you have reading goals, math or math LD, any of those type of really heavy academic areas, we should have assessments and formatives done to know exactly where that student is at grade level wise. So always ask, what grade level are they working at independently? Where is my student? Because that's going to help you prioritize goals, but it's also going to help you determine goals as well. So if I have a student who's reading significantly below grade level, and my student is really like, hey, I really want to go to college, I want to do this, then we know that might be a priority for us. We really need to help build up that reading skill. So what grade level are we currently reading at? What are we using to build that reading level? We have multiple curricula in the district to help build and support reading. Molly Bolton, who's actually on this tonight, she really supports that. She's phenomenal with that. And we have also our facilitators who can go, our instructional facilitators who can also help support that process as well. So always ask those questions. What's the grade level that my child is working at? What are age match peers doing? That's a really critical question for our students and our families, because what happens is we start something out in kindergarten that seems really great. And by the time we get into high school, we are significantly below what the grade match peer or age match peer might be doing, especially when we look at independence, self-determination, self-advocacy, social interactions. Oftentimes they're significantly below age match peers. And so we always want to know what's happening to their age match peers. Another place to ask that question is when you're entering into middle school and high school especially, and you have a lot of modifications to the curriculum or even accommodations. A question to ask your team is, what is the expectation of a student who is not receiving IEP services, and they have to take the test or they have to do this paper without those modifications and accommodations. Because what becomes very frightening very quickly in high school is when we start looking at college and what college work looks like versus what high school work looks like under an IEP. So making sure that if that's what you're wanting for your student, that we are not modifying the curriculum so significantly to where they've only taken tests with multiple choice, or they've always had to only write that 5-page paper that their age-matched peers have to write. They're now writing only 2 paragraphs. So always ask, what is the expectation for everyone else? And how far away is my child from that? And if your vision for that student, for your student, and if the student's vision includes like, hey, I need to be catching up on some of these things, I need to be really writing a 5-page paper because I want to go to college, then we need to start practicing that sooner rather than later for that student. So that's really critical. Wendy, if you could read that question, something just popped up in the chat, and go back 1 slide, please.
I've got it if you can get the slide.
Oh,
I have a
thank
high
you.
school senior.
Yes.
When was that list of transition skills developed? 2, where is that list of those transition skills available to parents? 3, how are you getting this skills list to caregivers or students during the middle school years? When we get this earlier than the IEP team can have conversations about long-term transition planning during the MS Charting the Life Court sessions.
Yes. So these lists, and I'm assuming you're talking about the industry standards. So those industry standards and those transition skill sets really were developed probably 10 plus years ago. We really worked with our partners for that. They are found throughout a variety of places on Special School District's SSD site, not only in the public site under the transition sections, but also, Adrian, I don't want to necessarily speak for you, but I think they're also on the FACE parent sites. But also all of our teachers have access to them. All of our high school teachers have been given them. And another source, each of your high schools have a staff member through Special School District called a WEC. It's a Work Experience Coordinator. And every high school has one in St. Louis County. That person also houses or has access to those skill sets.
So would if it's okay, would it be appropriate then to take the skills that are in the student's IEP to the WEC person and say like, okay, here's the IEP, or here's the IEP, here are the goals, here's the vision. Like, help me make sure that I have these industry skills covered in the IEP before their IEP is solidified for the year. Would that be an appropriate thing to do?
So the more appropriate thing to do would probably be have that conversation actually with your case manager. And what I've actually seen parents do is take the industry standards and highlight them. Like, I want my student to go to college. These are things that I see that my student cannot do right now. And bring those to the IEP meeting and have a conversation around those skills that the family feels the student still has in deficit before they go on to college or leave high school. I've seen that happen a lot at IEP meetings, and that can be a very helpful thing for case managers to help really point them in that right direction. So that would be something, that would be my first step, as I would say, really talk to your case manager prior to the IEP meeting to say, hey, I've been looking through these industry standards. I kind of feel that these might be some things that we need to target. I would really like to have this conversation at the IEP. The one thing that we shouldn't be necessarily doing or your case manager is bringing the IEP and just reading it to you. If that is something that is happening, please get with your case manager and before the IEP and say, hey, I would really like to have a conversation at this IEP, and then give you time to go write the IEP that contains the conversation we just had, as opposed to bringing the IEP to me and reading it to me. I know a lot of my families that I've worked with really, really express their discontent over that scenario at their IEPs when the IEPs are read to them. At the IEP meeting itself.
Thank you. So I think there's been a couple of URLs. In the interest of time,
Yes.
we have to.
Thank you, Adrian. For that. The other thing that I really want to impress upon our families that are here tonight, and please then spread the word, because you guys support so many other families, is really be the historian for your student. Oftentimes students change case managers, they change schools, and the only record that's coming with them is that IEP record. You guys have a wonderful lens, and it's called history. And one of the most powerful things I heard a family say at an IEP meeting one time was, we've had that goal on the IEP since kindergarten. How are we working on that? Because it hasn't changed. You guys are the historians for your students' goals. You know what has been worked on. You kind of know, like, we've had this goal every year. What are we changing? What are we going to change in the system in order to start improving my students' skills? Because something has to change. If we're just doing the same thing over and over and over again, our skills are never going to change. That's what that IEP conversation should be about is, okay, we tried X, Y, and Z strategy. It didn't work in teaching my student reading. So what can we use differently? How can we do a different approach? And that's why I've got that last bullet called, what does this look like? What does the goal look like? What are you going to be using to support this goal? What materials? And if it's the same materials that have always been used and you're not getting any results, it might be a good conversation to say, maybe there's something else that we can use. Or could we bring in an instructional facilitator to kind of help us with discovering some other things that we might be able to do in order to support the acquisition of this goal? Are there any questions? I know that was kind of a down and dirty with goals, but I hope that you guys can take away something and take it back to your IEP meetings.
Thank you, Jeff. Very much appreciated. And that was Crystal that was reminding everyone that there in the chats, there are several UR links that were dropped in for transition industry standards. So please take a snapshot of those and you can download them. Miss Eaglin, Director England.
All right. Good evening, everyone. Again, I'm Adrian Eaglin, and I'm going to share some FACE updates with you. As we move on, I know Chief Pendergrass shared with you that we have 2 new faces in FACE. As a matter of fact, we have 4, and they will all be present at your next meeting. So hopefully you'll have an opportunity to meet the new staff of Family and Community Engagement at your in-person meeting next month. But I do want to take a minute and introduce you to Esther Beard, who is our new Community Engagement Director or Coordinator. Sorry about that. And then LaDonna Ellis, who's the Family Engagement Coordinator. So if you can see, they're waving at you on the screen there, and hopefully you'll have some time to meet with them next month. But for the sake of time, we're going to go ahead and move forward. How we serve, really want to take a minute to just tell you that FACE is really there to collaborate with home, school, and community. Our goal is to really put those 3 important entities in a child's life together, that we know that families' voices matter in education. We want to help families as they navigate educational systems and their community systems. We help schools and our staff use those evidence-based practices to support families. And then we also reach out to our community partners, those individuals and agencies and governmental agencies that are supporting our students, to really leverage those relationships to improve outcomes for our students. So those are the 3 entities we work with, and that's how we really want to support your student and your family. So here's what's happening in FACE right now. So our team has been busy. I don't think they've had a free weekend. Every weekend for the last 3 to 4 weeks, they've been in schools and at back to school events, meeting and greeting families. We've been to schools specifically to meet the staff and to meet students and their families. We've also been attending a lot of open houses. Our goal is to get the word out about the supports we provide so that we can better serve families. One of the big things that we are working on right now is planning for our next Family Academy. So we took a lot of the information and data we were receiving from families as well as our staff. And what they've asked us is they want Family Academy, but they want it on the South side. So we've decided, and we've worked with Southview, and Southview has graciously decided to host the next Family Academy. So mark your calendars for Saturday, September 28th from 9 to noon. We will have a number of vendors there. We will have a number of our colleagues, Jeff's colleagues. Dr. Bolton usually teaches a course there. We will have AU specialists. Everyone is there so that families will have an opportunity to learn at their own pace, to really get strategies to support their students. And then they'll network with other families and with community agencies that will support their students. So please consider spreading the word. Communications is developing the flyers for that opportunity now. It is on our website for registration. So we need you to help us get the information out. Our next slide, please. Some other things that are happening, we will continue American Sign Language for families. So this year we are going to do a beginning class like we did last year, but we've heard from families that they would like to step it up a little bit. And so our instructor is going to offer an intermediate class. So they're building upon what people learned last year. We're also going to continue some of that work from Rebecca's tenure, and we're going to have the MOABLE people come out. So we have the Missouri Treasurer's Department who plans to come out and speak to us really about how we can better plan for students with disabilities financially. So that's still a big thing and work we're trying to do. We're going to be hearing from Special Olympics, right? We know that recreation is so important to our students, and we want to make sure that families understand that Special Olympics happens in school and outside of school. So we want them to grasp those opportunities as well. Supported decision-making is also a big topic that we've been talking about, those alternatives to guardianship. And so we will have Will Hack from MoWings, or I put the wrong company or the wrong agency, from Missouri Protection and Advocacy, who will be coming and speaking to us in February. So we have lots of things planned for you. The QR code on the screen is actually will lead you to our events and the registration for all of those events. Lastly, we want you to know that we do have a family toolkit. So that family toolkit still exists and we're building it out. So our wonderful communications department is still working on our family toolkit as a result of some of the information that families gave us and the PAC spoke to us about last year. We're building out the resources about eligibility, right? So those eligibility pieces that families sometimes don't know a lot about. We're developing a page for what are your concerns, right? We're going to link, and we do link IDD Gateway, but we're going to create like a smaller, here's where you start type of link for families, but they can always contact us. So that's what's so important, is that FACE is always here to support you. We want you to have the information if you want to navigate independently, but we also want you to know that our team of ambassadors are always here for you. So we invite you guys, if you ever have any questions, to send an email to face@ssdmo.org, or to even send us suggestions or topics that you're interested in learning about, because our entire goal is to be responsive and to really help you support your students at home, in the school, and in the community. Thank you.
Thank you so much. We need to go back just a moment to do two things. One, we do have enough for a quorum now. So Denise, if we can go back and get those agenda minutes in, all of the things.
Yes. So first we are going to, let me go back to my screen. So first we need to approve the minutes from the previous meeting in, what is it, May? No.
That would be me.
Yep. For May 2024. I don't think, no, wait, I want to say April. We did not meet in May.
April. Yeah, we didn't have a meeting.
It's canceled.
So we need to approve the minutes from April 2024. Can I get a motion to approve the minutes?
It's Maureen. I approve.
And can I get a second?
It's Ellen. I'll approve if I'm voting. Is that okay, Dwayne?
It's okay with me, but I think what she needs now is the second motion.
Oh,
So,
sorry, I second it
okay,
then.
tell you what, I'll make the second on the motion, and then you can vote for Kirkwood.
There you go.
Team sport.
So, okay, sorry, I'm typing too slow. And I got my motion, I got my second. All those in favor say A, aye. Is it
Aye.
A or I? Aye.
Aye.
Bye.
Any opposed? Okay, approved. No.
Okay.
All right, and then I just need approval for tonight's agenda that was presented. Can I get a motion for approval?
I will make that
So-
motion.
I will
Okay.
second it. This is Ellen.
Okay, and seconded by Ellen. Okay, all those in favor say aye.
Bye.
Aye.
All right.
Awesome. All those opposed say nay. All right, approves unanimously.
Excellent. And so then for a second piece of business, Chief Pendergrass, if you want to give us a legislative update, if there is anything to update.
There is really nothing to update. We work, just so the new families know, we work with Bill Gamble, who has close relationships with Jeff City, monitors all the legislation, all the Senate bills, anything that hits the floor. So once that all kind of starts, I will be giving regular legislative updates. I do, however, want to introduce a special member that joined us while we had began, Director Joseph Sartorius, Dr. Sartorius. He is our board director. He just recently joined, and he will be joining our PAC to be our board support. So please welcome Joe. Hi.
Hey, Joe.
Feel free to come off mute if you want and say hi. It's okay if you don't. It's up to you.
Yeah, hi everybody. It looks like you got a wonderful group and a lot of support already, but I'm here to help any way I can support our kids. Just a little bit of information. I'm a retired school administrator in Lindbergh and special school district. I've been retired for almost 18 years, but I've been teaching graduate classes in education administration for the last 18 years. So I have 9 children, 5 of our own and 4 that we adopted. And several of them have had special needs and services from special school district. And we're blessed to have such a great group of folks helping us.
Well, thank you so much for joining us, and we look forward to learning from and with you.
Thank you.
Thanks. Okay, so before we move on, my brain just broke. Adrian, is that okay to call you by your first name? Is that okay?
Absolutely.
Thank you. Thank you so much to you and to your team for coming out today and sharing face with us. I have to admit, the first year that I saw it, I was like, what is this? So it's lovely to be able to learn a little more about it. I hope our families take advantage of it, and I hope you'll come back and tell us more about what you're doing as the year goes on.
We would love to. Thank you for the invitation.
Excellent. Okay, I think at this point we are at the SSD PAC representative reports. Ellen, just because I know you're on, do you want to kick us off?
I really don't have much to say for Kirkwood. We're still planning out our agenda for the year. We did have a back to school kind of a kickoff just once parents got their schedules, teachers, to help people figure out like how other parents have put together like about my kids, things like that, to help them be ready for Meet the Teacher nights, things like that. But other than that, based on a couple parents I've talked to, as typical you would expect, the first day of school, some parents had highs, some parents had lows, some kids made it great, some kids fell asleep in class. So, you know, it's a long first day and it's mentally exhausting for everybody. So neurotypical and special needs, it's a long day. So I think everybody's ready to put their kids to bed and try again tomorrow.
Yeah, we had a second day kindergartners, right, today. And one of them was like, yeah, I don't know that I can go to school today. I don't think I got enough mommy snuggles yesterday. And I'm like, well, buddy, like, let's talk about this. And so the pictures of them at school is like, this is it. This is what we do for the next 13 years now. Like we go here, all in. Great naps on the plus side. But yeah, no, that's fair. I think that's all of us trying to navigate back to school. I think Parkway is missing representation. So for anyone who's on the call who might be from the Parkway district, FYI, we're looking for new PAC representatives. The next district up, Denise, you want to keep me solid here? You are on mute.
Of course I am. Okay. Who do we have next? No. Oh, Ferguson Florissant, me. So I think the kiddos got out to a great start this year. Ferguson Florissant, we posted pictures this year of our kiddos. This is the first year that all students in the Ferguson Florissant district are wearing uniforms. So I did get to visit a few of the classes at McClure North, and the kiddos are really loving the uniforms. My daughter's in a uniform. She thinks it makes her look like the anime character, so which she loves. So we're going to stick with that theme this year to keep her in it. But so far, no nothing negative back from that. And I think also for our kiddos in the through SSD and our partner districts, I think they really like it because now all the kids look just like them. So I think it takes a little bit of that anxiety away from them just a little bit. So I'm excited to see the things that are to come.
Thank you so much.
Let's see here. Next on the mic is going to be Kirkwood.
Oh, we just say Kirkwood. That was Ellen. What about Rebecca? Is she here for Rockwood?
I am. I'm here. I don't have much to report as yesterday was the first day, but there was something interesting I might as well bring up. Crystal, you saw the email of a parent whose child uses a smartwatch to help him regulate and keep his own schedule. The smartwatch vibrates. And apparently some of the partner districts with the advance of assistive tech have banned smartwatches, you know, for the Apple Watches for the students. So kind of an interesting dilemma there. I'm curious to see how that's handled, especially with, you know, all this assistive and smart tech out there. If our kids need it, if that'll be allowed to be used for support. So that's what's going on in Rockwood. Everything else seems pretty positive.
So hey, Rebecca, have you had that added to their IEP?
I got the email last night, so I reached out to our director, and I'm sure they'll take care of it. So yeah, that was a suggestion. So let's see what happens if the partner district building, you know, has stopped the usage. Hopefully the SSD special ed kids can still use those needed supports.
Yeah, last year when our district went to Yonder pouches, so the kids had to put their phones in the Yonder pouches. So in order to get around that with Madison, we had to put it in her IEP. So that's typically what I do. They need it, throw it in the IEP, and can't nobody do anything. So that would be
good advice for the rest of us listening. Yeah.
Yeah. So anybody else into that issue? Because I know districts are changing and things of that nature. So like even with like, you know, schools going to uniforms or taking away electronics, things like that, just add it to the IEP, and then that's your way around it.
So this specific issue is at the high school level, from what I understand, and the issue is not all smartwatches. It's the Apple smartwatch specifically, and I think the Galaxy Samsung is going to have a similar feature. It's because they have the ability to communicate on the watch, not just receive information. And so with another student, the way that was worked around was a different type of smartwatch was used. The Garmin has been approved for biofeedback and also alert reminders. So it doesn't have the same communication capabilities, so they can't cheat, which was really the district concern. So I think we look at, like, as that comes up, because this won't be the last kid that it comes up for. So as that comes up, being able to look at, okay, what are the barriers to this child wearing this assistive technology? And what are the substitutions that we can put in there? So yes, put it in the IEP, but so yes, and if the issue is like capabilities of that function, can those functions be turned off, or can it be substituted with a different type?
Great. But just for clarification, he's in elementary school. This is elementary school. So it seems like it's going all the way down, all the way down the pipe. But yes.
Interesting. All right. So so then there's two, Rebecca, because there was somebody else who was talking about it at the high school level. Good to know. The Rebecca, if you could direct that person back to Kirkwood, because they went through that at the North Kirkwood Middle School and Kirkwood High School level over the last 4 years. They've dealt with that specific issue. That might be a good connection point.
Ask Dwayne, don't ask me. I know nothing about it.
Fair enough.
I can't even get my son to answer his phone.
I don't know anything about it, but I'll make up something pithy.
There was one other thing that was brought up with Utah Valley that I was asked to bring up, and that was for Rockwood. And that was, they are not using any kind of sign system or anything like to pick up and drop off kids. So they just show up, and some of the parents are like, well, how are you going to know which kids belong to which cars? What happens when someone who's not a parent comes to pick up the kid, like uncles, aunts, cousins, whoever, right? And they're like, oh, we'll just know. Like, well, there's no possible way you would know all of that. And so there's a safety concern, particularly for the SST kids who may have a harder time verbalizing, I don't belong with this person. So, okay, what's our next district?
Let's see here. I'm gonna go back to the top to Bayless, Maria Martinez.
Okay, Ellen, you had your hand up before Maria starts.
Real fast, what district was that, or who asked you to raise that concern?
That was Rockwood, Utah Valley.
Oh, sorry, that was a specific school. Okay. I was like, who's Utah Valley? I'm so confused. Thank you.
Yes, it's a school in Rockwood. Okay, Maria.
Yeah, so we just went back today. So nothing really to report, except I did send out a digital flyer as well as an email to all of the administrators for early childhood, elementary school, junior high and high school, including our superintendent's central office. Sorry.
We have kids.
And because we are still building
Maria, you're breaking up just a little bit.
Page right now for the district. So I sent out a flyer for all of them to pass out.
Okay. A little bit of that broke up, Maria, so if you don't mind putting that in chat for Denise, or I mean, technically the two of you record all of that, but then that way we've got it. That would be helpful.
And let's see here. Lastly, I have Webster Groves.
Okay.
Maureen.
Hi, it's Maureen. We just started today. We've just solidified the 4 dates that we're going to meet this year as a group, and then I think at the first one that we're going to have the school district superintendent and SSD come and just talk to parents and just kind of voice concerns that they have. So nothing too much from our end at this point.
That's fantastic. I'm glad that you've got your dates set and that you've got the superintendent coming to talk with parents. I don't know if it's possible when they're voicing their concerns, if it's also possible to have resources there that you can point them to, so there's something positive to balance out the negative that's being shared at the meeting.
Yes, that's our main goal. Yeah, I'd hate to turn it into a complaint session.
Right. Well, I mean, look, concerns are there, right? And if you're going to build a bridge, you've got to be able to talk through, here's the stuff that's not working so we can help make it work, right? Like that's a good thing. I think if we can also just balance that with providing them with resources that they have available to them now that maybe if we can source some of what the concerns are in advance, we can come prepared with resources to be able to provide them with that address some of those concerns off bat, right? And so it not necessarily solve for them, but at least give them something so they're not just, I gave you all of my troubles and then I left without solutions. So, so I don't know if that's a doable thing or not, but I'm happy to brainstorm with you, as is, I'm sure, Chief Pendergrass. I'm totally volunteering you.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. That is a perfect support. And I would even ask for one more step, if she could possibly reach out to the director or work collaboratively with her director or coordinator and get those questions ahead of time. So if there are resources that the families are not aware of, we would be able to bring it to those meetings. And then if it's not, we could circle back at the next meeting and make sure all of those questions are answered.
Great, thank you.
Maureen, great job. Thank you so much. Thank you to all of you. I know this is an additional volunteer work that you're taking on, so much appreciated. Mr. Eby, I believe the floor is yours. And I probably
unmuted. All right. I've got a couple of slides I want to show, if that would be okay.
It is. You should have sharing capabilities at this point.
I think I do. So let's just see if that works. All right. Just want to say thank you for the opportunity to share a little bit about the Special Education Foundation with the PAC here. We have been around. This is our 40th year. SEF was founded in 1984 by some parents who wanted to help their children beyond what SSD was able to provide with tax dollars. And over that time, we have been helping thousands of students over the 40 years of our existence. I personally have been with SEF as the executive director for about 2.5 years, and just love this job. My personal background, I've got 3 daughters. 2 are on the autism spectrum, and then my oldest daughter is a special education teacher over in a suburban district near Columbus, Ohio. So kids with disabilities and educators are very much in the family here. And so it's a joy to be in this position. Just want to share, for those of you, a little bit of information about SEF tonight, and perhaps in future meetings share with you a little update on some specific things that we're working on. But our vision with SEF is really to be an indispensable partner with the special school district in assisting students with disabilities in St. Louis County. We're a small organization, and SSD is a very large organization, but when we can fill the gaps to provide support for students and for the educators of those students and for the families of those students, that's when we hit a sweet spot. And we do that in various ways. In fact, the different programs that we have are now on the screen. It starts off with, I think, our most significant program in terms of reaching the number of students as well as the dollars that we invest is with our classroom innovation grants. Those grants go to teachers and educators ranging from anywhere from a couple of $100 to $1,500. This year, we'll be investing $65,000 in classroom innovation grants. And in addition to those classroom grants, we also invest in grants for the SSD principals of the 5 SSD schools, as well as the Bridges program and the Juvenile Detention Center. And we will be going through a process with the principals of those SSD schools coming up in a couple of weeks. And I just, as a side note to that, had an opportunity to meet with today the staff who work with the young people at the Juvenile Detention Center. And I was just blown away how dedicated those staff members are. Both the principal and Hockey and the educators there are just truly dedicated to helping these young people, who many are there obviously because they've made mistakes. Many are there because they have just incredibly challenging family situations. But if you don't know much about what that program is, they have about 60 students that go through that program, and it's worth learning about it if you're a parent of a student with disabilities, because those folks are doing amazing work there. And I it was fascinating to go there, take a tour of the space and meet some of the staff. It was great. We also provide adaptive and assistive equipment, such as hearing aids for families and students that can't afford them. We do a lot in terms of replacement molds for students, because kids have a tendency to grow and they outgrow those molds. We also provide assistive communication devices, particularly for students that are graduating out of the SSD system, where they may have had equipment that SSD provided while they were in school, but as they graduate out, they lose access to that. And there are many families, some of these items cost thousands and thousands of dollars, and SEF steps in through our adaptive equipment program to provide that equipment for students as they move out to gain and maintain independence after school. Over the last 18 months, we've started a new program called Arts in the Classroom, where we're bringing in performances from arts organizations across the region. Right now we work with the 5 SSD schools, but we'd love to be able to take this out to the partner districts. But we have theater partnerships with the Repertory Theater of St. Louis and their Imaginary Theater Company, their children's group, with Metro Theater Company, with the Black Rep. We had a performance from members of the St. Louis Symphony down at Southview School last year, as well as we're working on partnerships this year for the coming year from Opera Theater, as well as from Jazz St. Louis. And the point of this is to give access to these students who may not ever have the opportunity to see performing arts in a way that's comfortable and safe for them. We're just thrilled to do that. We just received funding, a fairly sizable grant from the Regional Arts Commission to grow this program this year. And so we're very thrilled about that. Our critical needs program, we work very closely with Adrian Eaglin and the FACE group to provide critical needs for students and their families in various ways. A couple of the big ways we do that is through, we provide and fund food baskets that go to students and their families during winter and spring breaks and the beginning of summer break as well, to overcome food insecurity that exists when families and students are not in school. We also do a winter coat drive to outfit kids who may not have winter coats. And that's, I think, particularly critical with a student with a disability, because those students in many ways may have specific sensory issues that just putting a coat off the shelf and handing it to a kid and say, here's your coat, may not be the right way to do it. And so we work with the social workers at SSD to make sure that these coats work for those students, whether it's a child with sensory issues or a child who may be in a wheelchair, to make sure that coat works in a wheelchair. That's through our critical needs program. We also fund provide personal care items in the care closets at SSD schools, because some students need personal care items and their families can't afford it, or they don't have access to it, and we help fund that as well. Our Fred Tsai Leadership Academy is a high school leadership program celebrating its 20th year this year. That program brings in high school students from all over the St. Louis County region from schools, and they go through a year-long program where once a month they meet and learn about leadership skills and gain leadership qualities. And it's one of my favorite programs. We just had our orientation session for this year's class last Saturday, and it's a great group. And we're very excited about getting those students involved. I think I will maybe shoot some information out to you, Crystal, because they have a car wash coming up where they raise money coming up in September. And then the students use those funds to then turn around and donate back to different nonprofits with the funds they've raised from that car wash. And it's a great experience for them to learn about the idea of philanthropy and how to take those dollars. So I'll share some of that information out to you, because we'd love to have your participation. We also send kids to camp. Kids with disabilities sometimes don't have that opportunity to go to camp, and we work very closely with the Recreation Council of St. Louis to help send kids to camp. We also provide scholarships for graduating seniors to go on to college or technical school through that. And then the QR code takes you right to our website to learn more about what we do. I wanted to share with you the number of students that we serve. This chart shows the different programs that we have and the number of kids that we reach. As I mentioned, our Classroom Innovation Grant program is by far the largest, but all these other programs are serving students in various ways. And I think it's just critical that we take the dollars that we raise and try to stretch them out as much as possible to help the students. And those dollars come from various sources. Events drive the largest source of revenue that we have here. Businesses provide about 44% of our funding through the different events. We have 2 major events with SEF, our golf tournament that happens this fall, and a new event that we started last spring called the Starfish Awards. Individuals are also significant through either buying tickets or being golfers at our golf at events, providing 22% of our revenue. Restricted funding for programs such as that's a lot of that funding is from foundations, provides about a quarter of our funding, and then unrestricted donations provides about 11% of what we do here at SEF. So that's a little bit of our story. We're very appreciative to have the opportunity to share what we do with the PAC group, and if there's ever anything that we can do to help, I do want to. We have 2 other staff in addition to myself here at SEF. Shannon Benedek is our program and communications manager. She manages all the programs. So if you ever have any questions, if anybody has any questions about the different programs we have, Shannon is easily reached at shannon@sef-stl.org. And then our events, because events are so important to us, we have an events manager. Her name is Jill Salinas. They're great staff, and they're very committed to helping the students that we serve. So thanks for the opportunity.
Oh, thank you so much for joining us. I personally would love it, and I'm hoping I'm not just speaking for myself here, if some of your scholarship recipients might be able to come and speak a little bit later in the year. And it would be great if you could share when parents need to be tapping on their seniors to say, hey, maybe you should go take a look at the scholarship. And
yeah, we on our website, we have all the application deadlines. The scholarship deadlines are shortly after the first of the year. And same thing goes with the Fred Tsai Leadership Academy. Those applications are right around right after the first of the year for all of those.
okay.
And our website has all of that information.
Well, I know we'll be getting together soon
Yeah.
to chat. Maybe we can set some time in one of the future meetings to be able to have a couple of your recipients come in and talk, or people that have participated in your program. So parents
That'd be
can
awesome.
understand
Thank you.
firsthand. Helps. Thank you so much for joining us tonight, Tim.
Sure.
Okay, so I want to make sure that I don't miss anything on the agenda. Tonight, I think there was a special education that you just did that fun report. SST PAC initiative update. Okay, so here's where we get to have a little fun. Cause I'm like, wait, what?
So that one, I should have removed it. That was like on the old template. So
Okay.
I removed it on the new one that will get posted to the website tonight. So
No problem. I love
go
the
ahead.
idea of doing packets. I just have no idea what to say there. So that
no,
makes me
you're
feel a little
fine. I just
better.
noticed that like while Tim was talking that was on there, and my bad. So
No, that's
yeah.
fine. And then I want to make sure, Wendy, did we get the SSD resources and FACE completely covered? Because if there's anything that we're missing there, I want to make sure that that gets covered this evening.
Director Eaglin and ladies of FACE, did we cover everything?
We did. We're good to go.
Okay. Yes, ma'am.
Thank you so much, Director Eaglin. Okay, so next up on our agenda is public comments, and we are running ahead of time. Now, I understand the way this is supposed to work is if you have public comments, you're supposed to register those. I'm going to be honest with you, I have no idea how you do that. So if you are not alone, and
No
you
worries.
don't know that either, we can talk through how to do that this meeting. So
No worries. So the public comments, the link to the form is on the website. So typically you submit those like typically 2 days prior to the meeting, and then we'll talk about them on the call, but we didn't have any this time around. The only other thing is the plus and deltas, or the meet and feedback form, which I'm about to post in the chat in 2.5 seconds. And if before we close out, if everyone could, fill that out, let us know what you like, what you don't like, any suggestions, feedback, any good, bad, the ugly, whatever. It's all appreciative. We want to make sure that we are, serving you and giving you content that is going to help you in your daily lives. So soon as, where is it? Okay, I got it. I'm about to post that now. And then what's next? then the meeting will adjourn.
I would say now we do that lovely motion to adjourn. We really thank everyone for joining us tonight. Our next, actually, before we adjourn, one other thing, since we are well ahead of schedule. One thing that may be different this year from previous years is we're going to have a mix of in-person and virtual meetings. If you need virtual attendance, please let us know, because we don't want the in-person meetings to be to the exclusion of anyone. We just want to make sure that we're giving you the opportunity to connect in real time. So next month we are going to be meeting in person. It should be a really great experience. There will be some light food there, so you know, come a little hungry, but maybe not super hungry. So that'll be good. And then as we get into December, there'll be more details coming over the next couple of months. But we're actually planning to do a family activity for our December meeting. So there will be the opportunity to do like crafts with your family and the SSD. So it'll be an opportunity to meet with all of us, get to see us firsthand, interact with people from the SSD, and also do some fun holiday cheer type things. While this hasn't been published yet, next year we're going to get into crucial conversations and how to have tough conversations with your IEP team, because sometimes you need to have tough conversations with your IEP team, right? And they need to have tough conversations with you. And so we need to learn how to do that together. So we're actually going to do that in one of our meetings. So if you're seeing a repeated theme here, it's really about communication. So how do we access the resources that we need? How do we communicate that we need those resources? And then how do we communicate with each other on how things are going? And to that end, the form that Denise just put into the chat helps us do a better job at serving you. So please feel free to communicate freely with us. There is no thin skin here. Thank you very much for your time this evening. We really appreciate you. We appreciate your students. Reach out at any time. So with that, let's make a motion to adjourn. Actually, I'm still in Denise's thunder. I think Denise is supposed to ask that.
No, you're fine. Two things before we adjourn real quick. So the attendance link, I just reposted again. So if you could just fill that out, we would love to have your information. So that way we're making sure that we're getting the PAC information out to you for all those that joined us tonight. And thank you for being a part of it. Also, I know there was a few districts that were in here that we're just visiting, but we would love to have you a part of our PAC. So if you go to our PAC website, and I can post a link in the chat as well, there is a nomination form. So self-nomination, you can nominate yourself. We would love to have you be a part of it. Our goal is to have all of our partner districts to be represented. So we can provide all that content to you as well. So definitely feel free to go to our website and sign up for that. And yeah, I think that was it. So let's go ahead and adjourn. Can I get a motion to adjourn our very first meeting of the year?
This is Ellen. I'll make a motion to adjourn.
All right,
Rebecca
Ellen.
Fleet will second.
Awesome. Motion has been motioned and seconded. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
I love that. That was singy. And all the nays say nay.
Nay, having too much fun. Never wanted to.
Okay.
Wayne.
That's gonna get recorded as you didn't want to.
It is. Now I have to record that, Wayne. Thank you so much. All right, meeting is adjourned. Thank you, everybody, and congrats. Yay, Crystal, your first meeting has been adjourned.
Thank you, everyone. I'm really excited to be here and hope we do really great things together this year. I'm sure we will. All right, go do things with your families. See you later.
Hey, Maria, can you stay on really quick?
Yes.
Thank you again, Director Elan. Really appreciate you. Okay.
Hey.
Hold on just 1 second.
You stop recording.
Yeah, I'm not the one recording.
Yeah.